And we are live. I'm Sarah Olivieri, and today I want to tell you how you can learn to love your nonprofit's budget. That's right. And I want to give you a few tips on exactly how to do that. For those of you who don't know, I bring you pivot points coming right out of my live coaching call with my nonprofit thrivers, those amazing CEOs of nonprofit organizations who are tackling the complexity and learning to thrive with the money and the resources and the time that they need to make the impact that they were created to make. And you can't make a great impact if you don't have the money you need. And it's hard to get the money you need if you aren't great at financial planning. I know, not everybody's favorite topic, but hear me out and listen to these few tips on how to love your nonprofit's budget. Tip number one, first and foremost, you need to design your budget, what numbers it's showing and how it's organized, so that it tells you the most important information that you need as a leader to make financial decisions. Some of these pieces of information are things like, how good is each program at making money? How good is each program at bringing in impact? How good is our fundraising at bringing in money? Things like that help you decide what to do. If one program is really good at bringing in money and making an impact, then you should definitely think about investing in that program to scale it up so it brings even more money and more impact. If your fundraising programming is costing a lot for how much it's bringing in, then you need to put some attention on improving it so that it brings more money in for each dollar you put into that fundraising mechanism. These are the kinds of things and many more that you may need to know in order to run a great organization and to make a great financial plan that brings it into the future. So that's tip number one. Design your budget to give you the information that you need to know how things are going and where you should put your attention in your nonprofit. Tip number 2 and 3 are basically the same tip. Your top priority with your budget and your chart of accounts and how you organize it should not be what the IRS needs. Your accountant can work with you if what you need to see is different from what the IRS needs. Your accountant can prepare your books at the end of the year in order to give the IRS the information that they need in the format that they need it. But you're not investing in bookkeeping and financial management just to make the IRS's job easy and your accountant's job easy. You're first and foremost doing that for you. And tip number 3, same with foundations. If you are applying for grants and there are limits on what can be overhead or administrative costs, and you are going to divide everything, all of your general operating expenses across programmatic things so they don't get lumped and penalized in some sort of admin restriction, by all means do that for that grant. But that, again, should not be your number one priority in how you set up your budget. And my last tip for you in loving your nonprofit's budget is it is time to have your leadership team making the financial decisions to move the needle forward to make sure that your nonprofit is financially sustainable, stable. Let's say sustainable, because sustainable and stable are actually often not the same thing. And in fact, they're rarely the same thing. I forgot where I was. So financially sustainable and making the biggest impact for the buck that you can. You know who should not be making those financial decisions? Your board of directors. They are not involved enough and they don't have enough skin in the game to be making the financial decisions for your organization. Now, so many people say, oh, your board shouldn't be micromanaging. They shouldn't be in the weeds. They shouldn't be making day-to-day financial decisions. Almost all financial decisions are those kinds of decisions. I can't think of a single financial decision that your board should be involved with, except for one, which is if you're liquidating all of your assets to close, which means your board should not be approving your budget, because approving the budget is another way of saying deciding your budget. And deciding your budget is another way of saying deciding what and when you will spend money on. When your board starts making financial decisions for your organization, lots of things that are not good for financial sustainability and impact are going to happen. I'm not going to go into them all right now, but I'll let you use your imagination. Or if you don't want to use your imagination, you are welcome to join me in a future training that I frequently give for nonprofit boards. So how can you get that information? You can go to pivotground.com/sign up, and you will get my latest tips as well as updates on trainings around things like why your board shouldn't be approving budgets and what to do instead. But also, if you want to be in the room, if you're one of those thrivers, those amazing nonprofit CEOs that says there has to be a better way, we want to have it all. We want the resources, we want to make the impact, and we want to tame the complexity so that this job isn't so painfully frustrating and overwhelming. Then I encourage you to apply for the Thrive program at pivotground.com/application. Until next time, I'm Sarah Olivieri.